Thanks for joining us. I'm Lila, and this is Teen Kids News. Here's our top story for the week. No item of clothing can send a message about a person better than a t-shirt. It comes in all colors and sizes, often emblazoned with words and images that hint at our personality or particular beliefs. T-shirts are big business. About 2 billion of them are sold each year. Well, that's great news for the fashion industry. As Alexandra tells us, it's terrible news for the environment.
That's because of the process used in creating t-shirts. It uses water, a lot of water. And that's the inspiration behind an award-winning video produced by 16-year-old Joy Sun from Irvine, California.
This is the number of liters of water required to make one t-shirt. Most of the world's t-shirts are made from cotton, which demands water and causes pollution through its production. 8,000 synthetic chemicals and 20% of the world's water pollution are used and caused by textile production. Many countries are facing water stress, tainting agricultural innovations, public health, and economic development. This is why it is my dream to advocate for responsible consumption and production, and to conserve natural resources like water. To save water, we can reduce the demand for more cotton. And this is my solution.
Joy's solution earned her first place in the Teens Dream Video Challenge. It's an annual contest open to teens all around the world, and it's sponsored by the Global Collab Network. It's an organization that's encouraging teens to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, set by the United Nations. First of all, Joy, congrats on winning the challenge.
Thank you so much.
How did you get involved with Global Collab?
I found the Global Collab through one of my close friends at last year's summer camp. She, read the guidelines to me, and I thought this was going to be a perfect fit for me since I'm really passionate about climate activism.
What gave you the idea to focus on t-shirts?
I decided to do t-shirts because of my passion for designing t-shirts, and since in 2020 there was a wildfire in my neighborhood, and that's when I realized the imminence of climate change. And I realized I could combine these two passions to create a t-shirt that is uniquely my own.
Of the 17 goals identified by the UN, you focused on number 12, ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. Why?
Well, when I was reading an article on New York Times, I realized that one t-shirt uses 2,720 liters of water to make. And so I wanted to create a t-shirt that both is fashionable and sustainable in the long term because it can save cotton and water.
Tell us about the company you started.
So the company I started is called Change into Change, which really aligns with our product, the interchangeable t-shirt.
Let's go back to your video where you show us what's unique about your t-shirts.
I split a t-shirt into the shirt itself and the detachable hand-drawn patches made with organic cotton and lyocell, saving up to 91% of water compared to regular cotton. The manufacturing is GRS certified, and I attached a button frame to the shirt so that each patch can be easily buttoned on and off. Thus, one shirt creates endless combinations of designs, saving tons of cotton and therefore water.
Very clever! So the idea is a person buys fewer shirts, but because of the ability to change the patterns, they have endless ways to make their shirts look different, right?
That's right. Our slogan is one t-shirt, millions of designs, meaning as long as you have one t-shirt, but a lot of these detachable patches, you can create so many different combinations.
Who makes the designs?
So it was mainly me for the first collection called Saving Our Endangered Plants. But then I realized I wanted to get more and more artists to collab with me on this project, so I reached out to some of my friends at school, and I started a club that can gain more and more artists to draw designs. And so far, we have 7 collections, and a lot of these collections actually were drawn by children on the autism spectrum disorder, where they use their imagination to draw these new designs and creating new collections for our team.
How are the sales going? And what do you do with the money?
So currently, we mostly do in-person sales. I think so far in sales, we've sold about 250 interchangeable t-shirts, but this year we're trying to build our online store so we can have more sales. And basically what we do with our money is sometimes we take a portion of them and donate it to climate conservation and other organizations that support climate change. And most of our money is pretty much used to keep on building this company and making it more expandable.
Makes sense. Besides winning $1,000, what are other benefits of working with Global Collab?
Global Collab, I realized, is this huge network that connects students who are passionate about climate change and just conservation in general from all over the world. I was able to connect with students from Virginia, Colorado, even Turkey. And I realized that it's not just me as an individual who's really passionate about climate change, but teens all over the world. And Global Collab really just embodies the international aspect of the imminence of climate change.
And their Teens Dream Video Challenge is open to all teens, 13 to 17 years old. Start by checking out the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and pick one that most interests you. For example, fighting poverty, working towards clean water, advocating for sustainable communities, or speaking out for peace and justice.
And they basically just have to choose an SDG and create a 2-minute video explaining their solution to solving one of the conflicts initiated in the SDG.
You can learn more about the SDGs by going to the UN's website. Thanks for talking with us, Joy, and good luck with your new business.
Thank you so much.
Joy says her interchangeable t-shirt is more than just a clever fashion statement. She believes it's tailor-made to help save resources and reduce pollution. For Teen Kids News, I'm Alexandra.
We've got lots more coming up, so stick around. And during this break, please take a sec to like, follow, and subscribe to our socials so you never miss out on Teen Kids News. We'll be right back. Whether it comes from parents, teachers, friends, or even just from yourself, many of us live with lots of pressure. Sometimes pressure can be good, especially if it motivates us to try harder. But pressure can also have a negative effect, especially if it makes us so afraid of failing that we don't even want to try. This next story is about someone who credits failure for their success.
Even while still a child, his father dreamed his son would become an electrical engineer. But the son hated high school, with its strict rules and emphasis on memorization. When he applied to technical college in Switzerland, he failed 3 out of 4 subjects, specifically botany, zoology, and languages. At least he passed math and physics. He spent the next year studying and then took the entrance exam again. This time, he passed. But school was still a challenge. He struggled to get passable grades. After graduation, the best job he could get was as a civil servant working in the patent office. While there, he wrote a paper that changed the world of science. It was on the special theory of relativity. In it is the most famous formula in physics, E equals mc squared. His name was Albert Einstein. He is considered one of the most brilliant minds in history. Without his discoveries, we'd know a lot less about space and time, and things like black holes. And we may not have inventions like lasers and GPS, although it's probable that eventually someone would have come up with the underlying theories that make those technologies possible. Even Einstein knew how important it is to put setbacks into perspective. The man who would go on to win a Nobel Prize said, "Failure is success in progress." I've got to remember that. With If at First You Don't Succeed, I'm Emily for Teen Kids News.
Most of us know that eating foods with whole grains is healthier, but they may not be as healthy as you think. Take bread, for instance. If the label says made with whole grains, it might be misleading. That's because it's unclear just how much whole grain is in the bread. So you might be buying bread with only a tiny amount of whole grain. So rather than a label that says made with whole grains, look for labels that say 100% whole grain. You can also check the ingredients. You want products where whole grain is listed first or second. And don't be misled by color. Just because a bread or pasta is brown, that doesn't mean it's whole grain. When it comes to eating healthy, remember, no grain, no gain. I'm Brendan for Teen Kids News.
We have to take a quick break, but don't go away because Teen Kids News will be right back.
The The National Mall in Washington, D.C. is the site of memorials honoring some of the most important people and events in our nation's history. One of these memorials is dedicated to the millions of Americans who served in the world's biggest war. World War II began in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. But the United States didn't get involved until 2 years later, when Japan sneak attacked our Navy at Pearl Harbor. It took 4 long years before the Allies finally won. The National World War II Memorial is a tribute to the heroism of that time. It's located right at the heart of the National Mall, between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. The World War II Memorial has many parts. At the center, there's a pool with a huge fountain. The architects wanted this to be a joyful symbol of the Allies' victory. Around the pool are 56 pillars. They represent each of the US states and territories that contributed towards the war effort. The giant arches represent the 2 main places the war was fought, known as the Atlantic Theater and the Pacific Theater. Then, there's the Freedom Wall of 4,000 stars. Each one of those gold stars represents 100 Americans killed in World War II. As President Ronald Reagan famously said, "Freedom must be fought for." The inspiring World War II Memorial pays much-deserved tribute to those who did that fighting. I'm Sebastian for Teen Kids News.
Even if you're in a rush, speeding while driving is never a good idea. The National Road Safety Foundation wants to make sure you know that.
We like things fast. Fast food, fast delivery, a fast start. But sometimes, fast has its problems.
This is tasteless.
It's broken.
False start, disqualified.
None of these problems will change our lives. But driving too fast can. In fact, it can end our lives. Don't let speed steer you wrong.
The NRSF produces lots of helpful videos. For info on driving safely, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the National Road Safety Foundation. We'll be right back with more Teen Kids News.
Located in the heart of Beijing, the Forbidden City was a huge palace complex built in the early 15th century. Numbers have always held special significance for the Chinese. Some numbers are lucky, like 2, 8, and 9. Others, not so much. The unluckiest of all is the number 4. That's why even today, many buildings in China don't have a 4th floor. As you can see, these elevator buttons go 1, 2, 3, 5. Just like some buildings in America don't have a 13th floor. Speaking of numbers, here are a few statistics that are pretty interesting. It took 1 million workers to build the Forbidden City. It was the emperor's imperial palace for more than 500 years. There are 980 buildings. According to legend, there are exactly 9,999 rooms. But most experts say that's not true. What is true is that this is considered the most valuable piece of real estate on the face of the earth, estimated to be worth $70 billion. It's visited by more than 50,000 visitors a day. That's almost how many people visit Disney World in a year. You enter the giant palace through the massive Meridian Gate. The Forbidden City is comprised of 2 main sections, the outer court and the inner court. The outer court was the empire's political nerve center. This is where major governing decisions were made. The Hall of Supreme Harmony is the largest surviving wooden structure in China. Royal ceremonies, like coronations and weddings, were held here. That's the Dragon Throne, the seat of power for 24 emperors. Located in the center of the Forbidden City is the Inner Court. This is where the emperor and his family lived. The last emperor was known as Puyi. He was just 2 years old when he was placed on the Dragon Throne in 1908. He wasn't emperor for long. After only 4 years, he was forced to abdicate. Walking through the Forbidden City, you can't help but be in awe. The colorfully decorated buildings are breathtakingly beautiful. By the way, it's called the Forbidden City because for 500 years, commoners and foreigners were not allowed to enter under penalty of death. Today, fortunately, if you're dying to visit the Forbidden City, you don't have to die to do so. I'm Ava with the T on China.
Each week, Teen Kids News showcases a comment sent in by a viewer. So don't be shy. Send us a short note about the show. Then watch for your debut on national TV. Please include your first name and your town or city. And if you want, send a photo too. We'll be right back with more Teen Kids News.
Here's something most people, including our parents, probably don't know. The word spaghetti is actually the plural form. So, if you're referring to just one single piece, you wouldn't call it spaghetti, rather, it's called spaghetto. How have I lived all these years without knowing that?
Well, that wraps up our show for this week. But we'll be back with more Teen Kids News next week. See you then.